Now that we have explored the rationale behind a learning outcomes approach, let's explore the potential learning in a selection of learning outcomes. I am going to give you a moment to read this quotation taken from the framework. Adjusting to learning outcomes is new for all of us. Taking the time to really explore the intended learning in the learning outcomes, which many refer to as unpacking a learning outcome, is a process that is made far easier through collaboration. This is what we will be looking at in our next slide. Let's look at what this process of unpacking a learning outcome yielded. We are going to illustrate 3 possible approaches to making sense of learning outcomes. There are, however, many other ways of doing this, as we have seen with modern foreign language departments during our cluster days. Let's look at these 2 learning outcomes from strand 1 and consider what the potential learning is. We chose learning outcomes 1.5, belonging to the element reading, and 1.10, belonging to the element spoken production. We have created a mind map using Coggle. We, as a department, considered what the visible learning within these learning outcomes might be at various stages throughout junior cycle. This may be very difficult to read on your screen, so please refer to our Handouts tab on the right-hand side of your screen. These are called Coggle 1.5 and Coggle 1.10. Let's focus on learning outcome 1.5 from strand 1, belonging to the element reading. As we examine a learning outcome, we start by looking at the verb or verbs in the first part of the learning outcome, which is the core of the learning outcome. In 1.5, the verb is recognize. What learning is involved in recognizing the meaning of words and phrases in the target language? The second half of the learning outcome brings us to a context. And as you can see, this brought us to many potential contexts as we explored the options as a modern foreign languages department. It is essential to consider the age and stage of our students in our context. That is to say, what is relevant to students at this age and what prior learning will support their learning at this stage. We are now moving to looking at a learning outcome from strand 2, learning outcome 2.5. I'd like to remind you that these slides, the Coggles and the learning outcomes posters are available as handouts. These can be accessed by clicking on the Handouts tab, and all materials will be available on our website after tonight's webinar. With learning outcome 2.5, we have captured the same process which was undertaken by a group of teachers in a recent cluster workshop. Again, teachers looked at the verb in the first part of the learning outcome to guide their thinking on the potential learning in that learning outcome. I will give you a moment to have a look at their thoughts. We are now going to examine a learning outcome from strand 3. We are going to look at learning outcome 3.4. With learning outcome 3.4, we went through the same process, this time using a Mentimeter. Once again, We started by looking at the verb at the start of the learning outcome. Here are some ideas of the potential learning within this learning outcome. Again, these are just the ideas of one Modern Foreign Languages department. Many other ideas are possible. I will also remind you that this slide is also available in the Handouts tab on the right-hand side of your screen. This process of looking at the potential learning in a learning outcome is the first step for your Modern Foreign Languages department. Once established as a Modern Foreign Languages department, it is worth taking this step, as it will make planning easier as we move on to create a unit of learning. Here is a recap of the key messages so far. Now that we have made sense of the learning outcomes, we can begin to create a unit of learning.